Hello everyone, my name is Susan Polgar.
And I'm Paul Trung. Today we're visiting the World Chess Hall of Fame in Miami, Florida.
This is where we learn more about the history of chess.
And we'll come up with some cool facts about the game that I bet you didn't know. So let's go explore. You might be wondering how chess began. Well, just like any other game such as checkers or Monopoly, and sports like baseball or soccer, they all start somewhere. But to find out about chess, we have to open the history books to the ancient world. Chess historians think people who live in ancient Egypt and India play board games. And this is where chess began.
But it's not until we turn the clocks back 1,000 years that we can even find a game that looks pretty much like our modern-day chess game. The game called Shatranj began in Persia, which today we know as the areas of Iran and Iraq. The first chessboard that had alternating dark and light squares appeared in Europe around the year 1090. Wow, that was almost 1,000 years ago.
And wouldn't you know, as people started trading goods like spices, silk, and gold, and continued to explore the rest of the world, they took the game of chess with them. Pretty soon, chess was a hot new game in Spain, Italy, and China. The world's first chess club was organized in Italy in 1550.
American chess players are proud to share something in common with another chess player, founding father Ben Franklin, who considered chess to be one of his favorite games. Ben Franklin wrote about the morals of chess, claiming the game was more than just fun. He said chess taught character.
As people travel more and more around the world, they wanted to take their chess games with them. But as you can imagine, games like this didn't travel very easily. Railway sets and pocket chess games were developed so people could travel and play their favorite game at the same time.
Chess is a game played everywhere on Earth, and also by many famous people in history. Napoleon played chess, so did Queen Victoria and Winston Churchill. Chess has even influenced our culture. Some of the words we use today came from the world of chess. The first American chess tournament was held in New York City in 1843.
Many Americans know about Bobby Fischer. He started playing chess when he was 6 years old and went on to become one of the world's most famous chess champions. This is one of the tables where he played. Just like Tiger Woods brought a lot of fans and excitement back to golf, Bobby really stirred things up in the chess world in the 1970s. Bobby Fischer won 20 games in a row in World Championship competition. Then in 1972, he became the first American to become the official world chess champion when he defeated Russian Boris Spassky. Bobby didn't compete much after that, but then 20 years later, in 1992, he came back to defeat Spassky in a rematch. Bobby Fischer is considered one of the greatest players ever.
This is one of my favorite places here at the Chess Hall of Fame. It's dedicated to me. I started playing chess when I was 4 years old, and in 1991, I was the first woman to win the title of Grandmaster. I'm a 4-time women's world champion, a 5-time Olympic champion, and the world's only Triple Crown winner. I like to think I'm a pioneer in bringing chess to a new standard of excellence for women.
In the 1970s, chess entered the computer age. Sidney Samoli developed the first chess computer game, which was called the Fidelity Chess Challenge. Samoli got the idea for creating a computerized game after watching a chess match on the TV show Star Trek. In 1997, an IBM supercomputer called Deep Blue defeated world champion Garry Kasparov in a match by the score of 3.5 to 2.5, with 2 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 loss.
Today, the World Chess Federation estimates that there are about 600 million chess players across the globe. You may be one of them, or maybe you will be soon. The largest number of people playing chess at one time took place in Cuba. More than 12,000 people participated in a chessathon. We've really enjoyed our time here at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
And I hope you've enjoyed the fun facts we found here.
If you visit South Florida, stop by and see some of the magnificent displays and historical artifacts.
And we encourage you to continue your journey as you learn about and learn to play the exciting game of chess.
You may have purchased this instructional DVD to help your child learn the fun and fascinating game of chess. But by helping your child play chess, you're helping with a great activity he or she can play for the rest of his or her life. Chess players tell us the game is both fun and challenging.
It's a good thing for your head. Well, I like the strategies, when you like versing an opponent. Each game is different from the others. It's very mathematical to me.
And they have their favorite chess pieces.
The knight. Probably, I have to say, the queen. It can move the L, and it can jump over pieces. I kind of like the bishop because it moves in diagonal.
But experts tell us that chess may be giving our children something more than just a board game. Chess helps our children with important mental and social tools they'll need to grow into good students and successful adults. The host of this program, internationally known chess champion Susan Polgar, has made teaching children a special focus in her career. Through her work, she has found that children who play chess may indeed be helping themselves in a number of academic and social areas.
Chess teaches so many wonderful tools that are so important in school and in life. For example, just to start with the basic, focusing and concentrating are some of the most important things in chess. Also, another thing, planning ahead, very important. In chess, the better player usually is able to calculate longer or plan ahead in a long-term plan. Chess is full of short and long-term plans, just like in life. Chess also grows self-esteem and self-discipline, self-confidence, all those things you get through challenges every time.
For decades, research has documented the link between chess playing and children with improved academic performances, especially in the areas of math and reading.
I've always been like a math person, and I think you have to have like an engineer's mind.
It probably helped me a lot in mathematics too, because it's like you're using the same reasoning ability for math as you use for chess.
But let's not forget that chess is a competition, and it's that thrill of victory and a one-on-one matchup that attracts many students to the table over and over again.
I like winning.
Polgar says through competition, chess teaches a kind of sportsmanship that isn't seen on every athletic field.
Win with grace, lose with dignity. That's definitely one of my favorite sayings, that it's very important to be a good sport and over the chessboard show your aggression with your moves and not actually to your opponent.
Competition, you know, is like you're not using your fists, you're using math in a way.
You have to shake hands, don't laugh in the game, and you'll have to be serious.
And more good news for parents who have chess-loving children. The research says your little ones don't have to be world chess champions to see some of the benefits. A casual enjoyment of the game can still translate into better life skills.
I know a lot of people that didn't follow up being professional chess players as I did, but went on in a business career or a professional career, and they could very well use all the experience and all the knowledge they learned through chess in their careers. Certainly that's of course my main goal, and that is why I'm so passionate about promoting the game of chess. Not that I want the whole population of the world to be chess champions, but I want them to be able to use all the tools they learn through chess in their lives in whatever profession they pick later.
Indeed, the beauty of chess as a teaching tool is that it stimulates children's minds and helps them build life skills while they enjoy themselves. As a result, chess helps children become better thinkers, better problem solvers, and more independent decision makers. But don't tell that to the kids. They'll tell you they're having too much fun with chess simply as a game.
For me, it's fun, really fun to play chess.
It's a game that anybody could play, and it's a you know, from a young 6-year-old to a 60-year-old.
It's really exciting, yeah. It's nice.
2005, Susan added her name to the world record book as she set out to break the record for the largest number of simultaneous chess games played. At the exciting event, held in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, Susan played for almost 17 hours with only 5 5-minute breaks. She broke the record by playing 326 simultaneous games, winning 309 of them. She had 14 draws and 3 losses. Her amazing performance also earned her the record for the most games won and for the highest percentage of games won, as well as the record for the number of consecutive games played, 1,131, with 1,112 wins. Today, Susan lives in New York with her family, and much of her time is spent running the Polgar Chess Center and the Susan Polgar Foundation. The Susan Polgar Foundation focuses on chess and education, in addition to encouraging girls and boys to pursue learning and mastering the game of chess. Susan has become known as the ambassador of chess for children and families around the world, teaching them the positive impacts that chess can have on their lives. As if being a chess champion wasn't enough, Susan is also an award-winning and best-selling author. Actually, she's one of the best-selling chess authors in the world. And when she isn't writing about chess or playing chess, she hosts her own series of instructional videos and DVDs like this one that can help teach chess players of all levels. Susan is one of the best female chess players ever to play the game, and she's often referred to as the Queen of Chess.
Hello, chess heads. That's what we affectionately call someone like you who wants to learn and play chess. My name is Susan, and I'm going to help you learn the wonderful game of chess. Once you finish watching this DVD, you will know more about chess than you ever knew before and be on your way to becoming a chess player yourself. Also, at the end of each chapter, we've included a short quiz, which will help remind you about the important rules of chess and the fun things you can and cannot do. Now, teaching chess is a big job, and it's one I prefer not to do all by myself. So I have asked my friends, King Harold and Champion, to join me. Say hello to the chess heads, guys.
Much obliged to make your acquaintance, chess heads. Please allow me to formally introduce myself. I am King Harold. Besides being the most important game piece, it's also my job to help you learn how to play the game. So pay attention, my loyal subjects. We have a lot to cover.
And I'm Champion. I'm the most popular game piece because I'm the most fun. I'm the only piece that can jump. See, like this. I can jump over other pieces, even the almighty king. Together, we are going to help you learn how to play so that soon you'll be playing chess all on your own.
Thanks, guys. Remember, you can watch this DVD as many times as you want and review the chapters as often as you need. Our journey is about to begin. We're starting our chess adventure. Where else but the chessboard? Each board has 64 squares, and believe it or not, each square has its own name, just like you and me. But these squares aren't named Robert or Emily. They have different names.
On the chessboard, there are lines that go left to right, named A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. In the opposite direction, these squares are called ranks, which are numbered 1 to 8.
So you can imagine where the lines intersect is a square with a name. Starting with the letter first, here are some examples. This is B1, A2, D4, and F5.
Using the ranks and files of the chessboard to determine the name of a square is the same way you use lines on a map to find the coordinate of a location.
Now, not only do the squares have names, but also they sit on different sides. Squares on the left side are the queen side, and these squares on the right side are the king side. But there are other ways to divide the chessboard too.
The first 4 ranks right here are white's territory, while the 5th through 8th ranks are black's territory. These squares, A3, B2, and C1, are called diagonals. There are lots of diagonals on the chessboard, and notice all the squares in a diagonal are the same color. The middle of the board? Well, that's easy. It's called the center. And these squares sit in the center. It is perhaps the most important part of the chessboard.
Well, I think we've done it. That's what the chessboard is all about. You may want to take the quiz that's coming up next to see how well you know your chessboard.
Okay, hands on your buzzers. Here we go. How many squares are there on the chessboard? A, 32, B, 64, or C, 100? If you picked A, you're only half right. The correct answer is B. There are 64 squares on a chessboard. Question 2. Which part of the chessboard is the most important? Is it A, the center, B, the edges, or C, the table that it sits on? While it is important to have a table to play on, the correct answer is A, the center. Okay, here's a true-false question for you. Diagonals always consist of alternating squares, black and white. Good job! The correct answer is false. Diagonals always consist of the same color.
Okay, chess heads, let's get to the exciting part of learning about each chess piece. Each piece has a special shape, a special name, a value, special moves and powers. It's part of what makes chess so exciting. So where do we begin? Let's start with the rook. Harry, fill us in.
Oh, if I must. These are rooks. They have a value of 5 points each. Nicknames, sometimes called the tower or castle because of its shape. Moves, straight lines, straight lines.
That's right, Harry. The rook is a line piece. It can only move in a straight path on the lines and ranks, capturing anything in its way. Also, the rook can move any number of squares. You decide how far you want it to go. Our next piece on the chessboard is the bishop. Let's go to the stat center for more.
These are bishops. They have a value of 3 points each. Nicknames, sometimes called the elephant. Moves, the key word here is diagonals.
That's the word to remember when it comes to the bishop, diagonals. Let's take a look. The bishop can move any number of squares along its diagonal. You decide how far you want your bishop to go.
Remember, the bishop cannot hop over the other pieces.
Your bishops live on the same color squares for the entire chess game. If it starts on black, it stays on black. Your bishop on the white square stays on white. Next up is the king. Harold, take it away.
Ah, yes, thank you. Kings, like myself, are the tallest piece on your chessboard. We have no value, but don't let that fool you. If you take your opponent's king, you win the chess game. So naturally, that makes me, the king, the most important chess piece. Thank you, thank you. Moves. Well, I am a rather slow man. I usually just sit around being protected by other chess pieces. But after all, I am the king.
That's right. The king can only move one space at a time. So the king has the simplest move in chess. It can go one square in any direction. Now, let me let you in on a little chess strategy. For most of the game, you will want to hide your king. Keep him safe somewhere near the corner of the board, because when your opponent captures your king, the game is over. It's now time for me to tell you about a very special chess piece. It isn't just any chess piece. It is in fact the most powerful chess piece on your board. Have you guessed which piece it is? Okay, you guessed it. It's the queen.
This is the queen. And I must say, a gorgeous queen at that. They have a value of 9 points each, making the queen the most valuable piece on the chessboard. The queen is the queen. For this reason, she has no nicknames. Moves? Queens? They can do anything they want, moving around the chessboard like most of the other pieces.
The queen can move any number of squares along its lines, ranks, or its diagonals. This makes it the most powerful piece on the board. The queen can move this way, like a rook, or this way, just like the bishop. Or she can move one space at a time, just like the king. It's up to you.
Let's not take this too far, though. The queen cannot and will not be able to move like the knight. No jumping allowed when you're a queen. Those are the rules. Let's live by them.
Let's turn to the smallest pieces on the board, the pawns. I'll tell you right now, they are the least valuable of all the pieces, but they are important to your game. First, let's go to the stat center. King Harold, help us out.
These are pawns, the smallest chess piece. They have a value of a mere 1 point. Nicknames. In some languages they are called peasants. Moves, mostly 1 square at a time. They never move sideways or backwards. You and your opponent both have pawns on your chessboard.
Thanks, Harold. Let me tell you more about pawns. You may have noticed in the Stats Center we told you that a pawn normally moves 1 square at a time. But there is an exception to this rule. On your very first move, when it's still sitting on the second row, your pawn can move 1 or 2 squares. You decide.
Remember, after your pawn's first move, it can only advance 1 square at a time.
This means that each time a white pawn moves, it advances toward your opponent's side of the chessboard. And each time a black pawn moves, it advances toward the white side of the board. So when your pawn bumps into another chess piece, you're ready to capture it. But how does that happen? The pawn captures on a forward diagonal, like this. 1 square to the right diagonal or 1 square to the left. It can only capture if the diagonal square is occupied by an opponent's piece. If the diagonal square is empty or is occupied by a piece of a pawn's own color, the pawn cannot move to that square. In all captures, whether by a pawn or by another piece, the captured piece is removed from the chessboard. Only the opponent's pieces can be captured. Next up is the knight. But first, let's go to the Stat Center.
These are knights, usually in the shape of a horse's head. They have a value of 3 points. Special nickname, sometimes called the horse. Moves, this is special. The knight is the only chess piece that can jump. You and your opponent both have 2 knights each on your chessboard.
The knight has the trickiest move in chess. Jump, help me show the chess heads here. The knight moves 2 squares straight, then 1 square to the side, sort of like the letter L. This means a knight in the center of the chessboard has 8 possible moves. If your knight wants to land on a square which is occupied by your opponent's piece, the knight can capture it. If the square is occupied by your own piece, the knight is blocked and can't move to that square. Find another move.
Remember, the knight lands on a different color square every time it moves. And take a look at this. All 4 knights have 2 possible moves in the initial position. They just hop over the pawns in front of them, and only the knight can jump over the pawns. All the other pieces have to wait for those little pawns to move out of the way first.
Thanks, Champ. That's a lot to learn about the knight. So now you know about your chess pieces, what they can and cannot do on your chessboard. Make a point of playing with your pieces, move them around, get to know them, and how they can work for you. In the meantime, I have a little quiz for you to see how well you know your chess pieces.
Here we go again. What chess piece moves in an L-shaped pattern? Is it A, champion, B, the cute little horsey, C, the knight, or D, all of the above? And the answer is D. The knight is the only piece that moves in an L-shaped pattern. The most powerful chess piece is A, the king, B, Spider-Man, or C, the queen. Although the king and Spider-Man are indeed very powerful, the correct answer is C. The queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard. Let's try this one. Which chess piece can only move along the diagonals? Is it A, the bishop, B, the knight, or C, Thursday? If you pick Thursday, I think you need to watch this chapter again. Everyone knows that the answer is Friday. No. The correct answer is, of course, A. the bishop.
So, now you know a little bit about all your chess pieces. The next thing you need to know is how to set up your board so you can get ready to play.
This is the fun part. Saddle up.
Well, yes, of course, it's a lot of fun, champion, but first we must make sure the chessboard is properly arranged.
I have an easy way for all of us to remember the right way to put your chessboard on the table. Take a look. The chessboard is always placed so both players see a white square in the right corner. How do you remember that? It's a simple saying. Right, guys?
White on your right.
White on your right.
That's right. Now, let's see how the pieces line up. The rooks are placed in the corner. The knights are placed next to the rooks, and the bishops are placed next to the knights. This leaves 2 squares for the king and the queen. Of the 2 remaining squares for the white player, the queen is placed on the white square, and for the black player, the queen is placed on the black square.
Oh, there is another way to remember this about the queen. The queen is on her collar. Say it for me, champ.
The queen is on her collar. The queen is on her collar. The queen is on her collar.
Yes, yes, that will do. Do we need to say the king? Who I think, of course, is the most important fellow. Well, he sits in the last and most important spot.
Excuse me, Mr. King, but you may have forgotten the pawns. All 8 of your pawns line up in front of your other pieces. So now your board is ready and your chess pieces are all lined up. But now for the big question. Who goes first?
I have the answer.
Excuse me. Yes, it's a very simple answer that I can explain. White always moves first. Then the player with the black pieces goes, then white moves, then black, then white, and so on. Each player must move in turn, and you are not allowed to pass or to skip a move.
Thanks, guys. We have it now. This has been a lot of fun. And now you're one step closer to playing chess. But before we move on, let's see how much you've learned about setting up your board. Here's a short quiz.
Here we go. Which piece must start the game on its own color? A, the pawn, B, the swan, or C, the queen? The swan. Yeah, right. That's a good one. The correct answer is the queen. Remember,
The queen is on her collar. The queen is on her collar. The queen is on her collar.
let's try this one. Which chess piece starts the game next to the rooks? Is it A, the castle, B, the hassle, or C, the knight? I tried to trick you on that one. As we've just learned, the castle is just another name for the rook. The correct answer is C, the knight. Here's another one. Which player moves first in a chess game? Is it A, white, B, black, or C, green? The correct answer is A. White always moves first. Unless, of course, you're playing on the moon, then it's okay for green to go first. You know, get it? Moon, green, cheese. Ha, ha.
Welcome back, chess heads. Hope you are having fun learning about chess. Today I have my friends King Harold and Champion helping me teach you all about chess. But for this chapter, Champ, you can take a rest.
Ah, yes, it's so good to see you again, my loyal chess head subjects.
Now that you know all about chess pieces and your chessboard, let's talk more about strategy and how you can win at chess. During a normal game of chess, you will probably attack your opponent's pieces many times. Good chess players will stop these attacks in 3 ways. By moving your pieces away from trouble, by capturing the piece that's giving you trouble, or by blocking the attack. Sometimes you may even choose to ignore an attack on one of your pieces, if, for example, there is a counterattack of greater value. But there is one thing you can never ignore, and that's an attack on the king.
Oh my, simply do not speak of this. It is the one thing I fear.
I know, Harry, we don't want this either, but it's a fact of chess life. When your king is under attack, it's called check. And simply put, you can't leave your king under attack, or else you lose the game.
Oh, oh dear.
Here's an example. This white bishop is attacking the black king. This is check. We say that the bishop is checking the king, or that the king is in check. Now, black must get out of check. This can't be done by moving the king. So black must block the attack with a knight, a bishop, or a queen.
Remember, you cannot make a move that leaves your king in check. You must defend against a check. To defend against a check, you can move your king to a safe square, block the check with one of your pieces, or capture the piece that gave the check.
Oh, please, just do something. Anything to get me out of check.
Sorry, Harry, sometimes there is nothing you can do. Take a look. Here the white rook is attacking the black king. The king can't move, and there are no other pieces available to capture the rook, or even to block it. So?
Oh, say it isn't so.
Black can't get out of check, so it's called checkmate. White wins the game. It's 1-0. The checkmated king is never captured. The game simply ends at the point where the checkmate is recognized. There is one ending to a chess match that you may like a little more than checkmate.
Oh, tell me more quickly.
It's called stalemate.
Ew, it sounds horrible and smelly.
It isn't smelly or horrible. Let me show you. This is a chess match that has ended in a stalemate. In a stalemate, the player has no legal moves and is not in check. The game is a draw. Each player gets a half a point.
Ah, so no one wins and no one loses. And most importantly, no kings are harmed in the process. How royally good.
That's right. Stalemate is another way to tie or draw in chess.
The king can capture any of his opponent's undefended pieces except the enemy king. There must always be at least one square gap between your king and your opponent's king. A king can never be next to another king or move on to a square that the opponent controls or is attacking. Doing so would move the king into check, which is an illegal move.
I am glad this chapter is over. I am a bit traumatized.
It isn't over yet. We still have a quiz to find out how much our chess heads really know.
Here we go. True or false? You must always move your king when you are in check. Did you say false? Good thing you were listening. We tried to trick you. While you can never leave your king in check, you can sometimes block a check with another piece. Better yet, you may be able to capture the checking piece with one of your other pieces. Let's try this one. What is the result of a game when it ends in a stalemate? Is it A, you put your stinky sneakers on the board, B, you have to eat old potato chips, or C, the game ends in a draw? It's not smelly or horrible, it's a draw. The correct answer is C. The game ends in a draw and each player gets one half point. Okay, here we go. Which of the following statements is true? A checkmate is better than a stalemate. A stalemate is better than a checkmate. A stalemate is the same as a checkmate. The correct answer is A. It is always better to have a checkmate than a stalemate. Checkmate wins the game.
Okay, chess heads, time for me to show you some special moves that could give you an important edge on your opponent. Some of your chess pieces can help you win if you know the rules. Let's start off with something called pawn promotion.
Oh, those pesky little pawns.
Pawns are fun and they can change into other pieces.
That's right, pawns can change into other pieces if they are in the right place. Let me show you how. This white pawn has moved all the way up to the 7th row. It has only one legal move, to advance to the 8th row. Once that white pawn reaches the 8th row, it has magical powers to be changed into another piece. This is called promoting the pawn. The pawn can be promoted into any piece except a king, but it cannot remain a pawn. Most times the pawns are changed into the most powerful chess piece, which is the queen. Here's another example of pawn promotion. On the right side of the board, the black pawn has moved all the way down to its 7th row. It can't advance straight ahead to the 8th row because the square is blocked by a knight. It can, however, capture the other knight, reaching its 8th row on the diagonal. I let you in on a little secret.
Ooh, tell us, tell us!
Sometimes simply promoting a pawn is enough to help you win a game. When one player gets a new queen and your opponent doesn't, the game is as good as over.
By golly, royalty is important.
There's one more thing to know. You can promote a pawn to a queen even if you have an other queen on the board. Most chess sets only come with a single queen of each color. If you need a second queen and one of your rooks has been captured, turn it upside down and use it as a queen. We have one more unusual move with pawns. It's called en passant. That's French for in passing. Let me show you. When a pawn moves up 2 squares from its initial position and it has an enemy pawn next to it, you can take that pawn en passant. This option, though, only stays open for one move. Now, I have one more tricky move to show you, and it involves a rook and a king.
Oh, goody. I told you kings were important.
This move is called castling, and you must remember that castling can take place on either side as long as you have not moved the king or the rooks from their original positions. Even if you move the rook on one side, you can still castle on the other side.
I'm not moving.
How do you know the kings and the rooks haven't moved and then moved back to their initial squares? If you're playing a game with someone else, you have to remember. The second rule of castling is that the squares between the king and the rook must be empty.
This is one place I don't want to go.
Castling is executed by moving the king 2 squares toward the rook, then hopping the rook over the king. It's the only time in chess that you can move 2 pieces at the same time.
That move is called a queenside castle. You can also castle on the king side, like this.
There are other rules for castling. You can't castle if your king is under attack, or in other words, you're in check. You can't castle if your king ends up on a square that's under attack, and your king cannot cross a square that's under attack.
So many things you can't do.
There are rules to castling, but remember, castling is a great option and an important part of defensive strategy. It also has a tendency to bring a powerful rook into play when under normal circumstances it might be stuck behind a wall of pawns.
Ugh, those pawns again. Trouble from the start.
Oh, Harry, let's take a short quiz to see how much you remember about these special moves.
Here we go again. When you promote a pawn, what piece do you generally want? A, another pawn, B, a bishop, or C, the queen? The correct answer is C. Most times the pawns are changed into the most powerful piece, which is of course the queen. True or false? The pawn can promote to any piece on the board. If you picked false, you were right. The pawn can be promoted into any piece except a king or another pawn. True or false? If you have not moved your rooks, but have moved your king, you can still castle. The correct choice is false. Castling can take place only when you have not moved your king and the one rook from their original positions.
Okay, chess heads, you may know by now that the more you play chess, the more questions you have about the game. Luckily, we have the answers for you.
All my loyal subjects should get all the information they need.
We already know how to start. White goes first.
That's right, champ. White starts. Then, what happens next? Can you touch the knight, then change your mind and move your pawn?
I love to jump on every move.
I know you do, champ, but chess heads, you need to be careful. In tournaments, at chess clubs, and at your house too, you should play with the touch move rule. It means that if you touch one of your own pieces, you must move it. If you touch one of your opponent's pieces, you have to capture it if it is possible. That is why the first rule of chess is
Think before you make your move.
That's right. And as you get better, you may even be able to anticipate your opponent's moves. That's called thinking ahead. If you play with a chess clock, you may need to make your moves quickly. So watch your time. You don't want to be caught with time running out. These chess heads play competitively, so they work very quickly. You will probably start slowly and work faster as you grow more comfortable with your game. So remember, it's important to think ahead. Try to anticipate your moves as well as the moves of your opponent. And one final word about chess etiquette.
Etiquette? What's etiquette? That's an unusual word.
It means you have to use proper manners. Good manners are important in chess, you know.
At the end of every chess game, no matter if you win, lose or draw, shake the hands of your opponent. It's the sign of good sportsmanship. Okay, chess heads, see if you remember what we've talked about in this chapter. Take this quiz to see how well you know your stuff.
Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Which of the following statements is true? A. You must always wash your hands before moving a piece. B. If you touch a piece, you must move it. Of course, the correct answer is B. The touch move rule says, if you touch one of your own pieces, you must move it. If you touch one of your opponent's pieces, you have to capture it. So remember, think before you make your move. Which of the following is true? A. All chess games use a clock. B. Some chess games use a wristwatch. Or C. Not all games use a clock. The correct answer is C. Not all games use a clock. But remember, it is still important to think ahead and try to anticipate your moves as well as the moves of your opponent. Okay, here's a good one. How do you show your competitor respect at the end of a game? Do you A. Jump up on the table and do a victory dance? B. High-five your opponent? Or C. Shake your competitor's hand whether you win or lose? Of course, the correct answer is C. At the end of every chess game, no matter whether you win, lose, or draw, shake the hand of your competitor. It's good sportsmanship.
Congratulations, chess heads! You are ready to play chess. You know the basics about your board, your pieces, and a little bit about the special moves some pieces can make.
Yes, especially we have all learned just how important your royal king really is.
I think everyone knows how much fun the night is because I'm the piece that jumps around all over the chessboard.
I think this is one case, my friends, when you both are right. This has been quite an adventure. Remember, you can review the chapters in the DVD as many times as you need. Move ahead once you feel confident. And don't forget to take the end of chapter quiz. Thanks to my good friends, King Harold and Champion, who have helped me with this exciting game. Good luck, chess heads.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Goodbye.